Hello, Mr. Fay here. I just want to do a quick little review of how you compute volume. Volume is the amount of space an object occupies or takes up. And we have a formula that we use when we're looking at a rectangular prism for calculating volume. The formula that we use is volume is equal to length times width times height. Let's do a quick sample problem to see what this looks like. Let's say we have the cube of aluminum that we use in class. Okay, that standard silver cube that we've been using. That cube measures just about 2.5 centimeters on each side. So in the I box, the information box of our bracket box, we need to identify the length, the width, and the height. And in this situation, it has a length. Now, this gets confusing. Some kids wonder, well, which is the length, which is the width, which is the height. The way that I do it is I always set it down on the table. And the height becomes obvious at that point. The height would be the height it is off the table, which is 2.5 centimeters. For length and width, it really doesn't matter. The two of them are interchangeable. What you want to do is make sure that you're not measuring the same dimension twice. So if you measure it this way, make sure that you don't then turn it and measure the same length again. You want to make sure that you're also hitting that other dimension right there. But in this case, it doesn't matter because it's a cube and each are 2.5 centimeters. So there's our information for solving the problem. Down here in our computation box, we are going to do a substitution in the formula. So we're going to say volume is equal to, and again, instead of saying L, we're going to go find the length, and then we're going to go ahead and write it in 2.5 centimeters. Same thing for width. We'll go up, we'll find, instead of writing a W, we'll go find the width, and we'll include the width along with the unit, 2.5 centimeters. Great. Though this is getting redundant, you get the idea. We need to find the height. Instead of putting H, we actually put the number, which is 2.5 centimeters. So we now have done our substitution. Notice how we've left the units in there, and that's important. You'll see why at the very end. So what you're going to do next is we do need to run this computation. Again, you don't show the computation out long in the box. All you need to do is write down the numbers that you're actually going to be multiplying together. And in this case, it is 2.5 times 2.5 times 2.5. And you'll get an answer right there. Now, here's a very common mistake. Kids very often will look at these three numbers and add them together and come up with 7.5. Or they'll say there's three of them, and they'll say 2.5 times 3. Realize that both of those answers would be incorrect. And the answer is actually 15, sorry, good dad, I just of course killed it, 15.625. Now, for rounding purposes, we usually have in our instructions for our labs, we usually round to the nearest tenth, which actually makes sense because if you look at it, each of these are rounded to the nearest tenth, so we're actually going to round this one to the nearest tenth. So we really only want these digits right here. What we do need to do is get rid of these, but you need to peek at them because you need to know whether this number right here is going to stay the same or go up by looking at this number here, and we are going to keep this at 15.6 once it is rounded. One of the reasons why I had to keep the units here is because the units in the computation will actually give you the unit of the answer, so you don't need to memorize anything. The units for this are actually centimeters times centimeters times centimeters, which is something that we never write. We write that as cm3, or cubic centimeters, or centimeters cubed. So again, this would be your final answer. I usually like to box it or make some sort of weird shape like that. We have it rounded to the nearest tenth, and we've included a unit. So we are 100% good to go. Look for my other videos on finding mass and computing density. Both of those will help you on our upcoming tests and the state assessment. Take it easy. Bye.